It's good to be here in Chicago.
I was disgusted the whole time. That's all I have to say about it, really.
Erika Kirk just walked straight into one of the most awkward headline-snatching moments of her whole career. And it blew up right in front of hundreds of high school students who made it clear how they felt. This was not some elite college crowd trying to debate politics. This was a regular public high school in Illinois, packed with teenagers reacting in real time. No filter, no polish, just raw, uncut energy.
That exchange is actually in reference to Erika then having sent this 15-year-old to have photos taken. So Erika having done this is completely and utterly creepy. It's creepy. It makes no sense.
She stepped into Genoa Kingston High School. She was about to own the stage and soak up applause. You could see the expectation written all over it, the neat, picture-perfect scene where students sit quietly, nod along, maybe even look inspired. In her head, this was supposed to be powerful, memorable, impactful. She likely believed every line would hit perfectly. But instead, the mood flipped almost immediately, and the shift was impossible to ignore. As she began speaking, the room did not move the way she expected. Some students laughed at moments that were clearly not meant to be funny.
We've learned in the Podesta emails, as we learned in the Einstein emails, when you're talking about pizza, you're not always talking about pizza. The 15-year-old girl that 25-year-old Erika Kirk is striking up a relationship.
Others rolled their eyes openly, not even trying to hide it. A few stood up and walked out in the middle of the event they had somewhere else to be. No loud protest, no dramatic yelling, just visible boredom and secondhand discomfort. Then a video leaked online, and it showed everything. The awkward pauses, the tight smiles, the weak clapping, the silence that felt way too loud. The vibe in that room felt heavy, and anyone watching online could feel it through the screen. But this did not come out of nowhere. This was not just a speech that fell flat.
He lived his life in a way where he was not afraid to speak. He chose to use his voice for something so powerful. And I want you guys to understand that every decision will make a mark on your soul.
The tension had already been building days before she even walked into that school. Online, alleged messages started circulating fast. People claimed the screenshots showed Erika communicating with a 15-year-old girl in ways that many viewers described as inappropriate and concerning. It is important to be clear. These were allegations spreading across social media, not confirmed facts. Still, critics said the tone of the messages raised serious questions about boundaries between adults and teenagers. Many online voices argued that adults must keep clear, responsible lines when interacting with minors. The conversation escalated quickly, and emotions were running high. Then, the timing made everything look even more complicated. Around the same time these claims were spreading, Erika was actively touring high schools. She was speaking to students, helping launch clubs, and getting organized access to campuses filled with minors.
People will look back on your life 12, 13, 15 years, and they'll say, wow, you made those choices, you made those decisions. Yeah, in those moments. But my aunt used to tell me, never do something that you don't want on the front page of the newspaper. Live your life in that way.
For a lot of observers, that overlap sparked immediate concern. Critics began asking sharp questions about oversight and supervision. Who signs off on these visits? What safeguards are in place? Are parents fully informed about who is being invited into these schools? You could feel the tension rising as people started connecting the dots. The event was part of something called the History Rocks Tour. Reports say the tour has backing connected to the Department of Education. And yes, that department is currently led by Linda McMahon, the former WWE executive who now serves as Secretary of Education. The reported partnership between her department and Erika Kirk pulled even more eyes onto the situation. Suddenly, this was not just about one speaker at one school. It felt bigger, louder, and way more political. Now think about the scale of that for a second. This was not just a private group renting an auditorium for a quick talk.
The way that you live your life every single day, it matters. Ladies, be that. Be ladies. Be modest. Live your life in a way that's honoring. Honor your parents.
It was described as a federally supported initiative giving structured access to public high schools. That detail alone made some parents and teachers pause. Taxpayer dollars, public campuses, teenage students, political activism, all wrapped into one program. For many families, that combination felt intense and hard to ignore. During the Trump administration, programs like this reportedly grew fast, opening a clearer lane for speakers like Erika to step into schools nationwide.
I, again, am so grateful to be here because this is where it all started for Charlie.
Supporters say, bringing different political voices onto campus sparks debate and pushes students to get involved in civic life. Critics fire back that when minors are involved, the boundaries around political messaging need to be crystal clear and tightly managed. No gray areas, no confusion. Either way, what happened at Genoa Kingston High School turned into way more than one uncomfortable speech. It exploded into a larger debate about access, responsibility, and who the public is supposed to trust.
Insane. She sent this 15-year-old to have photos taken. She's helping her because she's just so beautiful get into maybe some modeling. That's at least how she presented it to her. So after telling her how beautiful and perfect her lips were, she then sets her up.
Once that video touched the internet, the narrative was out of anyone's hands. People zoomed in on every reaction, every smirk, every awkward pause. Some viewers blamed disrespectful students. Others said the teens were simply reacting honestly to something that did not connect with them. But no matter which side people leaned toward, one fact stood tall. That day did not play out how Erika imagined, and social media made sure the moment lived on repeat. Then parents started speaking up. Many said,
with a photographer, a friend of Erika's. Erika, she says, arranged the entire thing. This person she had only met once, then after what maybe love bombing her, we describe it, then sends her to meet up with this male photographer. And Jillian said that this photographer was kind of creepy.
They had no idea these events were even happening until their kids came home talking about them afterward. That detail alone raised eyebrows. For families, this was not just about left versus right. It was about transparency. If outside speakers are stepping onto a public school campus, parents expect clear communication.
She's trying to remember his name. She says she remembers it began with an R, and he was kind of shorter, chubbier. And yeah, I'd say, yeah, Jillian, that's pretty creepy. Any photographer.
When that communication feels thin or rushed, it creates frustration fast, and frustration spreads quickly in tight communities. On paper, the visit was tied to launching a Turning Point Club chapter. The organization describes itself as student-led, focused on conservative values, civic engagement, and leadership skills. Supporters argue it motivates students to think independently, challenge ideas, and step confidently into political conversations.
Who is taking photos of a 15-year-old without their parents' consent is a creep. I would also similarly say that any person who is arranging for photographs to be taken of a 15-year-old girl without explicit permission from that person's mother.
They say it equips teens with tools to understand how government works and how to participate responsibly. That is the official pitch. Critics, though, see a different strategy unfolding. They argue it feels less like neutral student engagement and more like structured recruitment. In their view, it is about shaping perspectives early, while identities are still forming. Some even claim the long-term goal is to build a loyal base of young supporters who will defend the brand no matter what controversy pops up later. That is where the deeper clash sits, not just in one school assembly, but in the broader strategy behind repeated campus visits. Now, let's get into what actually happened when Erika stepped on that stage, because the footage had social media in non-stop discussion mode. First, the outfit. She showed up in ripped jeans, a casual top, laid-back styling, clearly aiming for relatable and relaxed. No formal blazer, no stiff presentation look. The vibe seemed intentional, approachable, chill, blending in with the students instead of towering over them. But for many watching, it did not quite hit the mark. Instead of effortless, some viewers felt it looked overly calculated, like someone trying hard to match an energy that was not naturally theirs. The students seemed to pick up on that instantly. You could see it in their posture, arms folded, side-eye glances, whispered comments sliding between seats. Before she even reached the core of her message, The atmosphere felt tight. The tension was already sitting in the room. Then came the speech itself, and that is where the discomfort deepened. The delivery sounded extremely rehearsed, almost too polished, like every sentence had been practiced again and again. The issue? It did not seem grounded in what these teens are navigating daily. She repeatedly brought up Charlie, his legacy, and how he used his voice. She spoke about courage, about standing firm, about speaking truth boldly. But here's where the temperature in the room noticeably shifted. These students are online every day. They scroll through clips, they read headlines, they follow ongoing discussions, they have seen former employees speak publicly. They have heard conversations about NDAs that were reportedly used in the past. Whether every allegation is proven or not, the students are aware of the broader dialogue. They are not disconnected from what trends across their feeds. So when Erika praised someone for boldly using his voice, some students appeared to catch the contrast immediately. Laughter rippled through parts of the room, and it did not sound supportive, it sounded skeptical. Because how do you spotlight free expression while critics claim people in your orbit felt pressure to stay quiet? That perceived contradiction hit hard. The unease was visible, and by that point thought it was impossible to pretend the room was fully on board. Then she switched gears and moved into life advice. She told the students, "Never compromise your character." She followed it up with, "Never do anything you wouldn't want on the front page of a newspaper." That sentence just hung there for a second, and then you could see it, the shock, the dramatic eye rolls, the whispers spreading seat to seat. Later online, people called that moment bold. Some even said it was unbelievable. Why did it hit so hard? Because while she was handing out that advice, her own history was being debated non-stop across social media. Fair or unfair, that backdrop shaped how every word landed. In that auditorium, perception carried just as much weight as intention, and the distance between the two felt huge. There are still public conversations happening about her professional relationships, internal conflicts, and allegations that critics continue to examine. Questions about conduct and personal boundaries have not completely faded, at least in the eyes of skeptics. Supporters insist certain claims are exaggerated or stripped of context. Critics argue there are still unanswered questions. So when she stepped up as a moral voice for teenagers, that contrast felt massive to a lot of people watching. That is when the mood shifted from slightly tense to openly charged. The volume of the whispers ticked up, the side eyes doubled, and there she was, confidently telling teenagers to protect their character and live with integrity. But the students did not look sold. Some stared forward with tight expressions. Others shot quick looks at friends like, "Are we seriously hearing this?" A few leaned back with folded arms and raised brows. The room's energy tilted, and it was not leaning in her favor. Then came the part that really stirred things up. Erika began directing specific advice toward the young women in the audience. She encouraged them to be modest, respect their parents, and embrace traditional values. On their own, those ideas are not automatically controversial. Plenty of families teach modesty and respect every day. That alone is not shocking. What made it intense was the messenger. Almost instantly, critics online pulled up her earlier career from before she married Charlie. Old modeling photos resurfaced. Clips from reality show auditions started circulating again. Comment sections lit up fast. In the past, she had projected a very different public image from the one she promotes today. Supporters argue growth is real, that people mature, shift direction, and evolve. Critics counter that the change feels carefully timed and strategic. That sharp contrast is what drove the backlash into overdrive. So when she stood there presenting herself as a symbol of traditional Christian values, some students were not fully convinced. Several reportedly told local reporters afterward that the message felt inconsistent with what they had already seen online. Students from Chicago described the event as awkward and said parts of it felt more staged than sincere. From their view, the issue was not modesty, it was credibility. They felt the message and the messenger did not align, and that disconnect is what sent the clip flying across social feeds. Supporters pushed back hard. They say she is promoting leadership, discipline, and strong convictions. They argue encouraging young people to stand firm in their beliefs should not trigger outrage. Critics see a different play. They believe it resembles political recruitment packaged as mentorship, aimed at building a loyal following ready to defend her during public scrutiny. That is the real split here. Is this genuine guidance or a calculated strategy? The students in that auditorium seemed to have their own opinion, and they did not hide it. Outside the school, the pressure did not fade. It cranked up. A large group of parents and community members gathered near the entrance, and they were not standing there quietly. Signs were raised high. Some people chanted. Others called out for straight answers from school administrators. The atmosphere felt electric, like something bigger was unfolding right there on the sidewalk. Their main question was blunt. How did Erika get access to their kids in the first place? For many of them, this was not about party lines or campaign slogans. It was about procedure. Public schools usually follow strict steps for guest speakers, background checks, approval paperwork, content reviews, age-appropriate standards. Parents wanted specifics. What was reviewed? Who approved it? Which safeguards were in place? They were not looking for vague statements. They wanted clarity. From their perspective, transparency should always come first when outside figures are given structured time with teenagers. Whether someone supports Erika or strongly disagrees with her, that concern about oversight added another layer to an already heated moment. Once cameras showed both the tense auditorium inside and the energized crowd outside, the story jumped way beyond that one Illinois campus. Screening processes like this are standard in public education. Guest speakers typically go through administrative approval, background reviews, and content checks before stepping foot on school grounds. So the questions did not come out of thin air. Who signed off? Who evaluated her background? Who decided this was the right timing for a high school audience? Those are not random complaints. They are process questions. From the outside, it looked like everything moved quickly, especially with reported backing connected to the Department of Education. For critics, that created concern about whether the approval chain was fully transparent. They argue that when taxpayer-funded institutions are involved, clarity should be automatic, not optional. Supporters countered that she was invited through a recognized student organization initiative and that the visit followed established channels. But once doubt starts spreading online, it moves fast and picks up momentum. By the time those debates caught fire, the event was already over. The speech had been delivered, the student reactions were filmed, clips were bouncing across social media feeds, and then came the detail that intensified everything: the timing. Just days before the visit, old messages from 2013 and 2014 resurfaced online. According to online claims, the messages were between Erika, who was 25 at the time, and a 15-year-old girl named Jill Falcon. Screenshots circulated rapidly across platforms. Comment sections filled up almost instantly. The response was loud and immediate. It is important to say that resurfaced online messages often lack full context, and interpretations can differ. Still, many people began questioning boundaries and judgment. Critics asked whether it was appropriate for someone facing that level of public scrutiny to be speaking directly to minors in a school setting. Even without any confirmed legal findings, some argued that perception alone matters when adults interact with teenagers. In their view, schools should move with extra caution whenever active controversies are trending. That mix, protests outside, viral arguments online, and a school appearance happening right in the by. Center of it all is what turned a basic speaking event into a full-blown public storm. It stopped being just about one assembly. Suddenly, it was about oversight, responsibility, and timing crashing into each other at the worst possible moment. Outside the building, the energy mirrored the chaos online. Parents and community members packed the entrance area, and nobody looked calm. Signs were lifted high, chants rang out. Several people demanded straight answers from school administrators right then and there. The mood felt urgent, heated, and impossible to ignore. Their core question was simple. How did Erika get access to their kids? For many, this was not framed as a red versus blue showdown. They described it as a process issue. Public schools typically have structured steps for guest speakers, background checks, approval paperwork, content reviews, age guidelines. Those systems are there to protect students and maintain trust with families. So when controversy is already trending online, parents expect tighter caution, not mixed signals. Once again, the same questions echoed. Who signed off? Who thoroughly reviewed her background? Who decided this timing made sense for a teenage audience? From their standpoint, those are not dramatic accusations. They are baseline accountability questions. Critics argue the approval process should have been more transparent, especially with resurfaced messages and active public debate in the background. Supporters respond that she was involved in a recognized student club initiative and that online controversy alone should not automatically block someone from speaking. Both sides are standing firm, and neither seems ready to budge. But timing changes everything. With old messages circulating, comment sections exploding, and protests forming at the school doors, the optics became overwhelming. Whether someone views it as unfair targeting or valid concern, perception drove the reaction. What could have been a routine campus appearance flipped into a national conversation almost overnight. In the end, it was not a single speech that caused the uproar. It was the stacking of unanswered questions, resurfaced history, and immediate access to a young audience that pushed the moment into high gear. When all those elements collided at once, the backlash felt unavoidable, and the ripple effects are still reaching far beyond that Illinois campus.